Hello everyone, welcome to the Generals. Unfortunately, I am the host today, so you can even turn it off or you can carry on watching it, as Drew's unfortunately had to drop out due to work commitments or pub. But never mind.
I'm back.
Yeah, Az is back after 2 years of holiday and in the gym. And you're all right, Azza?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good, mate. I don't know where he's in the Grand Hall for his grand reappearance on the podcast, but it looks nice in the background, mate. It looks nice.
Very nice. It's very nice.
Very nice. And we're privileged to have John Townley on, which is a real pleasure, mate, to be honest with you, because without brown nosing your articles for avvillain.com, I've always watched and listened, and it's really good, mate. Really, really good. So fair play to you.
Thanks for having me, lad.
And now you have a blue tick, and you're a part of the mail, so even better, mate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cheers for having me on.
Yeah, no worries, mate. It took you 2 years to get on, but appreciate it.
Many more to come in first a minute.
Yeah. So everyone, please subscribe, please like. If you don't like it, then we all have opinions. So John, on to you, mate. Tell us a bit about yourself. And quick disclaimer as well. We're having no mention of Jack today, and anybody does mention Jack, it's £5 to Villa Foundation. But John, we'll let you off as you're a guest. It's out of me and Azza. So far away, mate. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, John Townley, currently write for the Birmingham Mail on Midlands clubs, predominantly obviously Aston Villa. Recently graduated from university as well, University of Gloucestershire, studied sports journalism for 3 years. That was a brilliant experience for myself and anyone who's an aspiring, sports journalist, football writer, sports writer. Definitely have a look at what the University of Gloucestershire can provide for you, because it's certainly put me in really good stead for where I am now. And yeah, big Villa fan. I don't think I can really hide that. Got to stay impartial as a journalist, but there we go. Now, privileged to be on, guys.
How did you
long time coming?
How did you end up supporting the Villa, mate?
Oof, through my dad. I think a lot of people have stories of, this was the moment I supported Villa, or since this, since the other, but without being cliche about it, probably born a Villa fan, really. I don't think there was a way that I couldn't not be a Villa fan. First game, 2005, maybe, 2006, January. Home game against West Ham, lost 2-1, but there we go.
People don't realise, Gloucestershire's got a massive Villa following. They really, really have. It's either Villa, Bristol City, or Bristol Rovers, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, John, what clubs you've been working at? I've followed you, mate. I've not been stalking you, but honestly, I think your articles are brilliant. What clubs have you been at? I know you've been at Cheltenham Town.
Yeah, so worked at Cheltenham Town for 1 season. That was brilliant. Working with the media guys there, and that was a massive insight for me. Again, that was thanks to the uni that I was at. I had really good connections. So did plenty of stuff with Cheltenham Town for 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year actually. And yeah, that was brilliant. We had all sorts of, we won the League Two title as well. Had Man City in the Carabao Cup. Was it the FA Cup? I think it was the FA Cup actually. Should know that.
Yeah, you should know that.
Even like with fans not being in the stadium, it was a bit surreal. And I went down there the other day. They had fans back in the ground, and obviously seeing Villa Park with fans back in the ground as well. It's crazy times that we were living in. Thank God we're coming back into a bit of normality now. But no, that was a really good experience working in Cheltenham. And yeah, just bits and bobs on the other side, getting different experiences to as I say, get to where I am now. By no means am I any sort of fully fledged journalist. We've got to make that clear. But no, I'm on the right path.
Watch this space, the new Matt Law. There we are. The early first. So moving on, mate. What's your thoughts of the Villa first part of the season, or early parts of the season, really?
Yeah, I think what I've said to most people is I think it's hard to judge in many ways, because we had obviously a very disrupted pre-season because of COVID and because of injuries as well. Lots going in the transfer market, ins and outs. And I think for the players that have come in as well, Leon Bailey's only played 30 minutes. Ollie Watkins played 10 minutes. We've had injuries. We've had, as I said, disruptions throughout the whole of pre-season. We haven't really put our strongest team together on the pitch yet. And that's just one thing. And then it's building partnerships through, months of football, months of Premier League football. So it's hard to judge. Obviously, we had 3 nice fixtures over the course of the season. You'd probably identify those games as 9 points, maybe. 2 promoted teams. But hey ho, I think we can kick on from now. Obviously you gotta get Chelsea out of the way, and then Emiliano Buendia, Martinez coming back as well. Should put us in good stead.
The thing is, the kicking on with me is what game do we kick on from? We've got some tough games coming up.
We have. Yeah.
And we just need to get minutes into those players as quick as we can and not get a spanking. I don't think we'll get a spanking because defensively we are sound.
Yeah.
But we just got to start clicking and finding a rhythm. And I always find with Dino, I always find he has a bad run of games and there's a good run of games. There's nothing ever in the middle with him. And we've just got to start performing. Is that your feeling on it as well, Azza?
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. Yeah, I feel like we have, regardless of how the season folds out, really, we do have two sides. We have a really good run and then a really poor run. And they don't intertwine for some reason. It doesn't seem to work that way. You know, we have a really, really good run of 10, 12, 15 games, and then a really bad run of 10, 12, 15 games with the odd result popping up here and there, but it's just not consistent enough. And I think that's the problem. And it does worry me, you know, like as John says, you know, for me, 9 points was what we needed from those first 3 games and we didn't get them. And now we've got a really tough kind of end of September, October time. Let's see how we go. But, you know, there's a lot of things that have really disrupted the beginning of this season. Pre-season was a shambles, lots of changes. I think the transfer window has kind of clouded a lot of mindsets, a lot of ways of thinking. It's been a difficult period. It's been a difficult start. So the sooner we get back on our feet, the better, really.
I'd like to, John, what do you feel our best formation is, mate? We've asked a lot of people who are guests on here, and I still don't know because the players we've brought in. So what do you feel the best 11 is or the best formation is?
On paper, I think our best formation is probably a variation of a 4-4-2, maybe a 4-2-2-2, like what Southampton played last year with Danny Ings playing with Trey Adams. I think Ollie Watkins can do that role really well with Danny Ings, kind of doing the hard yards for him. You know, Danny Ings is no slouch, but I think he works really well with a partner. We know Leon Bailey can play off the right or the left. Predominantly off the right is probably better off. And then you've got Buendia as well, who needs to play on one of those flanks. I think as a 10 against Watford, he was maybe, I wouldn't say bullied, but he didn't have it, you know, the way that he would have liked to, you know, on the ball against Watford, you know, dominant, big centre midfielders. So I think when he comes off the right, coming off the right against Brentford, when Matty Cash makes the overlap, he comes in the little pocket and then obviously scores his first goal for the Villa.
So where does that put Bailey then, mate? If Bailey likes playing on the right, that's the thing for me.
That's the issue. Yeah, that's the issue we have. We know Bailey can obviously play off the left as well, and he's certainly good enough to make an impact on either flank. But that, I don't know. Are you putting square pegs in round holes? I don't think so, because you got proper quality there. And obviously, Watkins can play off the left as well, and then do it like a 4-2-3-1. So I think Smith's got loads of options. But I'm not too sure if we have a set formation. I wonder whether that will become a bit of a sticking point maybe throughout the rest of the season. Not having a fixed formation, not having like a fixed identity. But I suppose we'll wait and see.
I think the problem, John, is, you know, last season we were in this conundrum where I don't think Smith ever really truly realised or found out who his best middle three were. You know, we swapped and changed so often in the middle. And I think we'll find ourselves in that same predicament with the front three this time, or the front 2 on 1, whatever it is, you know, trying to play these games, introducing these players and playing them together and see what works best. And with the versatility that we have with Bailey, with Traore, with Buenda, you know, with Ings, with Watkins, they're all very flexible front 3 players. So I think it will be interesting to see how we go. Do you agree, T?
Yeah, I do agree, and I totally agree with what John says. Really, we just don't know, do we? Every podcast for the last 2 or 3, we talk about formations and players. We still don't really know. No. But we've got to give credit to Dino, because he's not had his full 11, has he yet? And for me, Saturday at 5:30 is a lottery in it. You know, I'd take a draw. I'd take a boring 0-0 and park the bus all day long than getting a spanking. I actually think we might actually get something Saturday. I don't know why, but that's just typical Dino and typical Villa, isn't it? The unexpected when, you know.
It is, yeah.
And do you think the transfers have been good, John?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you look, obviously you're losing one of the best players in the league in Jack Grealish, and then you're replacing him with 3 players who, you know, it's incredibly hard to replace that player, but to bring in the likes of Leon Bailey, Buendia and Danny Ings, we've got a 30 goal, maybe 30 goal striker. Emi Buendia, when he was playing in the Premier League with Norwich, he was putting up some brilliant numbers for a Norwich team that were, they were relegated before they came up, And obviously Leon Bailey's a top player as well. So I think forward line, superb. Tuanzebe on loans, obviously, that'll make do. Ashley Young as well, really good bit of business. The main point that we're probably going to come on to is probably the midfield. Did we need a midfielder? Possibly so. Again, Smith knows what he wants, and if that player became available, I'm sure he would have got him. But for whatever reason, your Anguisas, your Czech Decores, your Weston McKennies, all these different players clearly weren't, or maybe not clearly, but certainly weren't on the radar come, at the end of deadline day. So, yeah, I think we can trust Smith because he's certainly put in some good recommendations for the likes of Matty Cash, Ollie Watkins, etc. I mean, Martinez as well. But no, we haven't got that midfielder. Douglas Luiz and John McGinn. We know that they can form a good partnership. But are we missing something that we don't already have? Perhaps that's the
what
conversation.
Is it that we're missing, John? So all those players that we were linked with, Paper Talk, journalists, going over and over roundabouts with all these players, and the same names kept coming up. The bids went in for a Prowse, Ward Prowse, never materialised. Why? What is it that we need? Why didn't we get it?
I think that's an interesting one because we clearly wanted Ward Prowse, and we were clearly going for up to 30 million for Ward Prowse, and there's a lot of good players you can get for 30 million pounds for a central midfielder. So clearly there was money there to be spent, but maybe the argument is that why haven't we spent it? So we obviously didn't want that certain caliber of player, whether it was a ball playing midfielder or if it was a classic number 6. I'm not too sure, but we clearly had the money there to spend it, and we haven't chosen to spend that money. We're not privy to what happens between the four walls of Bodymoor Heath. But
for me, John, it just puts added pressure on Dino because every bad performance or every game we lose, it'll always be, well, we should have got midfielder.
Yeah.
And we always seem to come short. We always seem to be talking about that one player, the striker, wasn't it, last time? The last transfer window. It's always, got to wait for that one player. I just hope, like we say, he finds that balance,
Yeah. I think a big drive now at Villa Park is obviously the youth academy and players coming into the team, and we obviously see like Chukwuemeka start against Brentford. A 17-year-old lad just finished his exams last year, which is quite crazy to come out in front of like 40,000 at Villa Park and play midfield alongside Ashley Young and Douglas Luiz. So Craig Shakespeare said himself, we don't want to block that pathway into that first team, but are we blocking a pathway between blocking ourselves getting the top 6 place? Again, that's another big argument. But one thing's for certain is I think that we can certainly trust the people in charge of the club now, and the recruitment strategies, and everyone that's on the board, Dean Smith as well, I include in that. So frustrating perhaps if we didn't get that one over the line in midfield, and maybe it was Will Prowse, maybe it was someone else as well.
So do you think without bringing that key position in, we're on schedule for a 5-year plan then, John?
I think, again, it's tough to say because I don't think we particularly envisaged losing, a key player over the summer. But I'd have thought we're still on the right track. I mean, again, next summer, you're probably going to say this every single summer now, but next summer is a massive summer. And then the summer after that's another massive summer. I look at clubs like Everton, who have been cash-strapped this summer because they've spent an awful lot of money over the last, 4 or 5 years. Maybe that was in our thinking. Do we want to spend £30 million on a midfielder that we weren't particularly keen on, or that was second rated to Ward Prowse in our own view? So are we, kind of spending our money wisely for each summer, making sure that we have enough to spend on players when they become available? You never know, we could be really interested in this Czech Decore lad, and we're waiting for him to have another year in French football before we then spend £30 million on him instead of spending £25 million on him now. And then he's not necessarily prepared for Premier League football this season. I think trust the club in that.
I think, like you've vocally said, Azza, is Mackenzie's just not come up with a gem, has he? For some reason, Mackenzie's brought Ashley Young in. It was his recommendation. I know that for a fact. But he's not really got his magic wand out, has he?
That's got to come, hasn't it? That's got to come. That's got to come. And is January the time, or is next summer, like John says, is the idea with watching these players that maybe have been mentioned, a few names that we've seen, maybe a few that we haven't seen, and it's given them another season to really assess and scout and analyze what they're doing, performance analysis, all that sort of stuff in place. And then next summer going, you know what, this is the window for one player, and that player is a defensive midfielder, and then we see one coming next summer for big-ish money, but there won't be anything else, and then the puzzle is complete. After a season of gelling and getting all these new players in on doing what they do, and see where we go from there. So maybe that's a possibility, but you've got to trust the process. It's frustrating as fans, I think, when every fan's going, oh, we really need a defensive midfielder. We need that anchor man. We need that mission man in the middle. But the club know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for. And you've just got to trust that process, haven't you?
Again, I think John's touched on it. And I've been vocal over the years. I think that the youth settle's been nothing worse than shambolic. When you got Albion down the M5, pulling out kids left, right and centre. And I've been told on very good authority, we've spent a lot of money on getting kids in, and I mean wages as well. And I think that's quite clever because you're not really upsetting them on the financial fair play, but you're building for the future. As we all watched the other night against Wycombe Wanderers, some of those kids,
immense, electric, immense.
And those midfielders for Wycombe, they're seasoned pros. They're not kids.
Yeah, playing the championship last season as well.
Yeah. I just thought first half we were first 25 minutes were poor. From there on, they were just knocking it about. It was just a joy to watch. So I think the 5-year plan, I think, might extend it to 6 or 7 years. But in 6 or 7 years, that group of kids coming through, it is good to see. So fingers crossed. Scary. So let's get you out of 10 for the transfer window. What do you reckon, John?
I'll give us a solid 8 out of 10.
How's that?
Good. I think for me, I don't like giving half points. So a 7, I think a 7, gutted about the departure. But it is what it is. Impressed with the players that we brought in. I just felt we needed that one more player. That's just an opinion. It's a feeling. I felt like we needed that middleman, that anchor, that big bastard in the middle, and we didn't get it. And it is what it is. So we move on. But 7, I think 7. It was an all right window.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'll give it a 6 star.
2.
A 6 star.
6 star.
I just feel like, I don't want to bore people with the podcast. I've said the last 2 podcasts. I just feel the balance is not right. We're one player away from getting that balance right, because we don't know if Sanson's going to perform. We don't actually know where Sanson's going to play, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And a lot is resting on Sanson, right? That we haven't really seen anything about him. Came in January because it was a good financial, position to be able to do that and take advantage of the market. We bought him in, completely abysmal 3-4 months with his first, start at the club. Summer pre-season, didn't really see a lot of him. Played a game last week, particularly good, particularly poor in places as well. So, still very much an unknown about him. He could be the next best thing, but he could also be an absolute failure. So I think the club are trusting that he will come good, and fans, obviously, we want to see him come good. I think he's got a lot of quality, but we haven't seen it yet. And I think that's the difficulty. What do we do? How do we feel about Sanson? I don't know yet. Not sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, John, but Lang is scouting him for 2 years, Sanson.
Yeah, so exactly that. This is another Langer buy, and he's a good player, Morgan Sanson. We know this, and I think coming into the country in January, COVID was bad back then, as it is now, obviously. But I think for a foreign player to come into the country, not knowing the league in January is always a very difficult time to move as well, because the games come quick and fast. You're not coming in for a pre-season where it's blue skies all the time in training. It's probably pinning it down with rain. COVID's going on. Your family isn't in the country. Footballers are people as well, aren't they? So it's a very tough time. And I think he was probably carrying a bit of a niggle as well, because he's obviously had a bad injury from April onwards up until now, really. But I expect Sanson to play well. Whether or not he has the right partner for him to play at his optimum level comes on to point again. I think that's the conversation. Is Sanson too similar to McGinn? Is he too similar to Nakamba in many ways, and also Douglas Luiz? They all seem to cross over, but we're sort of missing that one.
Who's your 3 in the midfield then?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So where does he play in the midfield, and who with?
Well, I guess because I would go with a 4-2-2. I probably wouldn't actually start him then if I'm doing a 2 in midfield, because I'd have Luiz and McGinn. But it does give you a different option, doesn't it? And if you want to be getting anywhere near the top 6 positions, you need to have a substitutes bench full of different options. And I think Smith said In his post-match presser against Newcastle, he chose to play Luiz because he felt we'd have the ball, would be able to control the game. But then that's a bit of an indication to his thinking of, but then, Luiz will be rested for some games, the games that don't suit him. And then it's sounds on your man to come in and, benefit you against a Chelsea, a game that you're not going to see much of the ball. Maybe that's the thinking there.
Interesting. It's just, again, it's balance, isn't it? And we'll just have to see. I think he'll be on the bench on Saturday. I don't think he's not going to start, but I think he'll be on the bench. Yeah. And very quickly, it wasn't part of the agenda, but are you concerned about this Barclays loan? You've heard about this? We've had a loan of Barclays Bank on Tuesday.
Oh, I thought you said Ross Barkley then.
No. Sorry.
No, I'm not sure. I think the more you read into that, it seems like it's a bit of a drop in the ocean compared to what goes on in the world of football business, which is mega money, huge business people. I'm not particularly worried about that. I don't think anyone knows particularly why it's happened or what the reasoning might be. But no, I don't think there's anything to worry about. These owners have been nothing but gold to us. Completely. They saved us from the abyss only 3 years ago, and look where we are now. Only Man City, Man United, Chelsea spent more money than us on transfer fees.
I'll put my personal touch on it. I do think that Purslo's under pressure. I think Purslo's under pressure commercially. COVID's put a lot of teams back, and he's got to perform now. Purslow, he's a commercial machine. He's got contacts, and we've got to start getting revenue in and quick. Yeah. Everton do it. If you look at Everton's commercial revenue, who I put on par with the Villa as a club and support, they're miles in front of us. And okay, they've been in the Premiership for a long time, but we've got to start getting this commercial revenue back into the club. And then obviously financial fair play sorts itself out, as you know, John. So I do think that Purslo's under pressure. I also think that's probably why the loan is coming a little bit, because we've not had any commercial revenue. And these owners, they are multi-billionaires, but you can't just keep bankrolling us every 5 minutes.
I think with what you're saying there, T, I think there's a gulf still, very much so, in regards to commercial revenue and bringing in money from other streams other than on the football field. Between us and the top 6 clubs, and we really need to start giving ourselves more foot in the door with getting that commercial revenue in. You've got the likes of Man United who are bringing in 500, 600 million a season in commercial revenue. And we're still wandering around this 40, 50, 60 million. I read an article the other day, spoke to someone, gave me some stats. That's the difference. That's the gulf, 400 million difference between, the top 6 and us. And we really need to start bringing in that commercial value because it's so important. Totally. And like you say, businessmen can't just keep running forever. They don't have a money tree. There might be very, very wealthy men, but you just can't keep putting money into a club just willy-nilly. You've got to have another stream of income, haven't you? From
This is why, John, I think the 5-year plan is probably 6 or 7 years now because of COVID and because of the commercial revenue. Yeah. And because and what capacity we can actually spend, financial fair play. And I think, like you say, I think we are waiting for that midfielder. Who he is, I don't know.
No idea.
But I think we'll go back for him in January. And on Purslow, do you think the Argentinian thing's been treated right, or what's your feelings on it?
It's a right debacle, isn't it? And I don't think anyone's happy about how it's gone. The one thing I'd say is that for Emi Martinez and Emi Buendia to represent their countries, we all know, is a massive honour, as it would be for anyone. And it's not in their contract that says that they can't play for their country. No matter the circumstances. Obviously, it's COVID, and we all have to give and take with that. And to be fair, I think we have missing only one game is the compromise that I think we were all glad to probably see. But I think the way and everything and how it's been handled has been nothing short of shocking, as you say.
It just sums up our pre-season, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just been
absolutely.
What's next?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
When you're down in the dumps, you're down in the dumps, aren't you? You can't get out of that rut. It's been abysmal.
I mean, what I can't get my head round, John, and I'm going to probably get criticised for this, is when your number one goalkeeper has come out and said, well, Aston Villa Football Club, my club who paid my wages, didn't understand the ruling. hang on a sec. Do you don't understand the ruling? Surely, if your players you own are going on international duty, do your homework, lads.
I wonder if that's, I don't know how to say, but I wonder if we've been given, and this is only an opinion, I wonder if we've been given some sort of talk that, they'll be able to just, because we've literally seen the players come onto the pitch and then the health officials come on and say, oh no, actually that's not allowed. That can't go that far. Like there's something's happened there that isn't correct. So surely there's been a lack of communication from the start, but I doubt 100% that if the Christian Perso, for example, would have let them go knowing or not knowing about the quarantine rules. And I just feel like we've been given some sort of misinformation there. I really believe that.
Slightly misled.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with John. I totally agree with John. I think there's a lot of misled information going on here. Different football associations, different regulations going on, different viewpoints, different decision making, and it's been really poorly miscommunicated. And I think that's the issue. The club were never going to stop any of our boys going and representing their country internationally. That's a huge honour. It's a huge moment for our players, and it's great for our reputation as a football club across the world.
It just seems every week we've got a saga. Just when Aston Villa Football Club had settled down with the drama and the sagas we've had, the three of us have our lifetime supporting the Villa. It just seems to be. What next? Now, as you know, John, Dino's got his press tomorrow. Konsa, Bailey, and Watkins would be a concern for me tomorrow. I think Konsa's out. I think Watkins would struggle to fitness, and I think Bailey could struggle for fitness. Konsa would be a major worry for me.
Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you look at Tuanzebe coming into the team, and it's that's not so bad. But Konsa's a player that we know that should be playing for England right now. Like he's that good. He's so good, Ezri Konsa. And especially if you go into Chelsea, you're going to miss that caliber of player. Of course you are. If you flip it on its head, maybe Konsa starts, maybe Bailey, comes off the bench and makes an impact, and Watkins starts as well. But that's thinking positively. As you say, T, I think if all those three are missing, that's a real problem. But it's not just the Chelsea; it's your following games after then, because these aren't injuries.
Exactly.
They haven't bumped the toes on the bed, have they? They're thigh strains. I don't know what Konsa's problem was exactly, but
no.
Speculation could be it was a bit of damage to his ligament, perhaps. We'll see. But
I may go back to our conversation then. What game does the season start?
Exactly. You almost like you're flipping last season. Not necessarily in the games that we beat Chelsea and Tottenham, but when we had a bit of a rut, missing players last season, and then how well we started it. It's almost like a reverse this season. But are we going to end the season as well as we need to get anywhere near a top 6, top 7 position?
Yeah. So under the current circumstances, where do you put us as a position to the end of the season? And this goes to you as well, Azza.
Go on,
Azza. Finishing the season? I said I'd want a top 8, didn't I, a few podcasts ago? But I think for me now it's mid-table, isn't it? It's anywhere between that 9 and 10 and 14, maybe. I'd be disappointed with anything less than 12. But you've got to be real. We've got to be real here. And I think Tyrone Ming spoke about it quite openly again, didn't he, a few weeks back? Europe would be great, but I think it's just about progress.
So hang on a second, mate. So, and this goes to you as well, John. 12. I've said 12, but 11 from 12. Does Dino keep his job?
I think he would, just simply based off the fact. I think the owners and the board probably look at this season as a lot of this isn't Dino's fault in the sense of the Argentina stuff, in the sense of the injuries, and we all understand that. But I would have thought, and we can't always keep saying this, but I think then the next season, because that's when you have Danny Ings at the peak of his career, hopefully without any injuries. Leon Bailey with a season in the Premier League, Emi Buendia with a season in the Premier League with Villa. All these players have partnerships, and I think, as I said earlier, if you put that missing link, perhaps if that's how we think it is, that midfielder in the middle of it, then you've got a very scary front four, a defence that's certainly good enough to get top 6, because we saw that last season with the amount of clean sheets that we had. Then I think that's when you start judging performances and tactics and managers. But at the moment, I think it's one of those where Smith hasn't been able to even think about naming his best 11 so far this season.
But the three of us wouldn't have said that the last game of last season beating Chelsea at home.
No.
We would have wanted improvement. We would have won sixth. Sixth. We wouldn't have been saying, "Oh well, let's just babysit." We're basically saying, "Write this season off."
And I think at the start of the season as well, you were looking at Everton. That they wanted a new manager. Arsenal were obviously and still are in a bit of trouble themselves. Tottenham, new manager. All these clubs in the mix of this top 6 conversation all started this pre-season at least very slowly. And I thought personally we're probably going to be the one club that's ready to go first day of the season. Full pre-season under our belts with new players. Everyone knows each other. Partnerships are building already, but I think it's going to be the second month of the Premier League season.
I also think it'll be a harder season this season in the Premiership. I think teams have got harder to play against. Okay, Norwich just spent 45 million on 11 players, who I think some of them are half decent. We've seen Brentford, are pretty good. So it's going to be a tough season. I personally think, and again, I'm going to get pelts for this, John. 12 for me, and Dino's gone. That's controversial. 12, 13
it's valid,
for me.
It's valid though, T. It's valid off what we've seen and what we've witnessed. And I think it comes down to, where we all expect the club to keep progressing, but what do those expectations mean to the owners, and where are those expectations in their minds, really? Because they're the ones making the decision, aren't they? Could it be a Smith stays and Purslow goes if he's the one under pressure and things aren't changing in wise there? Or
before people, I love Dino and I can see his vision. I just think, he's had an unlucky start to the season. I just think deep down inside, 12 for me, and he's gone. There's no progression whatsoever. That is.
Find out, won't we, this time next year?
Oh, yeah. Anyway, light-hearted, we're going to go on to
light-hearted, John. Here you go. Here's some quick fires for you, mate. So, very quickly, John. So, current favourite first-team player?
There's too many. God, you could choose 5 or 6. I would say Tyrone Mings for many reasons.
Okay, name 2 reasons. Why Ty?
Tyrone Mings for the way he leads the team and off the field as well. I think what he does is magnificent. I think we all know.
Agreed.
We don't need to go into it in massive detail.
Yeah, legend. Favourite youth player currently?
Kane Kessler.
Yeah, I agree.
Good that he's gone out on loan this year, get some first team experience, play with some big boys. Hopefully come back next year.
He's not a big boy himself, but he seems to play that level already. Like, see him play for Swindon at the moment. He's a very, very good player.
Yeah, good. Balti or steak pie?
Ooh.
Chicken and mushroom.
I think that depends. I'll go with steak. I'm more of a steak.
Okay, good.
I'm intrigued. What you have?
I'd have a steak pie, mate, every day, wouldn't I?
There we go.
I love a bit of raw meat. Love a bit of bleeding steak in a pie. All-time favourite player at the Villa, John? Ever witnessed at Villa Park in your life?
Well, I'm only going back 21 years, which isn't too much. So I haven't seen as many as what you guys probably have. I would probably say a prime Bonlahor, a prime Martin Larson, a bit of John Carew, one of those ones.
Love that. I'd definitely be favouring your Martin Larson for sure. He was
yeah.
Heart
of a line.
And in contrast, your worst ever Villa player or signing.
Let's hope we don't have to interview him either.
All right, let's go with I forget his first name now. I think is it Even Tonev? Right, left corners. Both weren't great.
A Petrov recommendation. That was, wasn't it?
It
was yours, T. It was yours, worst ever.
God bless him. He's dead now. Bernie Gallagher. He was a ginger-haired left back. God, he was bad. What was yours, Azza?
I think mine was Eric Jemba.
John, ask your dad about Bernie Gallagher.
I will.
Yeah, ginger-haired left back.
I'll go for Jemba. I just couldn't understand that signing. Crazy.
Who's the other one we had on? It was like Jemba. We had on loan from
Johnson.
Who? No. He was played in the midfield. Gerard Houllier bought him.
Michael Bradley.
No.
McCoon.
Yeah.
Jean-Claude McCoon.
Shout.
Number 2. Who had so much high hopes for him, and he was just It was just awful.
Yeah, he was great. He was bought from Leon as well, wasn't he? He was great.
Yeah.
Came here and had absolute abysmal.
I think any French player we touch, he just goes crap, doesn't he?
Yeah, abysmal. And your best experience at Villa Park, John, to finish us off?
Oof.
Good or bad?
Probably say no. I'll go good. 6-4. I think it was 6-4 against Blackburn, League Cup semi-final.
Special night. Special night.
A while
Special
ago now,
night.
but
I remember that so well.
And do you know that was such a cracking result because the manager was Big Sam, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
And you don't put 6 past Big Sam teams very often, do you? So.
And first leg, we'd lost. That was a second leg, wasn't it? And the first leg, we were down by 3 goals or something, weren't we? Or was it 1-1?
I thought the 6-4 was the first leg.
Was it the first leg? I remember the game well. Some goals scored on that night. Christ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was really good. Hey, listen, John, it's been a pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure.
Please come on again, John. Hopefully not put you off. And you did mention JACK, but we won't let you off because you're the guest. Instead, Az will put the £5 into building the foundation for you. There we are.
I don't know. No, cheers, lads. Honestly, whenever. Pleasure.
Yeah, and all the very best for the rest of the season, mate. We love your work, so we'll have our support.
Give John a follow. You know, we're not all about publicity, and we're just 3 guys, me, Drew, and Az are just enjoying life, basically. So please subscribe, please like, but please give John a follow because his articles are, I think, some of the best read. So do it.
Thanks, lads.
Yeah. Cheers,
boys. That means a lot.
Later.
Cheers, mate.
See you later.
Nice one, fellas.
Bye.